We are now recording. This is welcome to Malcolm Presents. Yeah, Malcolm Berman, malcolmpresents.com. And the show is Phil Margo-The Lion Roars. Welcome, Phil.
Yes,
Give us a roar.
I'm wearing my Brooklyn Dodger hat.
And I'm wearing my Los Angeles Dodger hat.
I'm hoping, I have a jacket, a team jacket that they made for me, the Dodgers.
Yeah.
When I was managing Robert Guillaume, he sang the national anthem, and I got friendly with a lot of the people there. And I asked if I could get a jacket from them. I would buy it. So they said, and they sent me to the place where they have them made. So they made me like an official LA Dodger jacket.
Wow.
Which I wore. I still wear actually.
Do you have the autographs?
I have some autographs of some of the players. I really wasn't. I have Vince Scully's autograph, which I'm very proud of.
Well, back in the old days of Ebbets Field, when we were kids and we used to go to the game, at the end of the game, we always stayed till the end of the game.
Right.
No matter what the score was, we stayed till the end of the game. And at the end of the game, we used to go, and I'm forgetting I think it might have been Sullivan Place, where the exit to the dressing rooms were.
Field exit.
Yeah, because
to the clubhouse.
Yeah, because there was no parking in the stadium. That was relatively new. So the players had to park in parking lots 2 or 3 blocks away from Ebbets Field. So at the end of the game, they all came walking out. And we used to go, there's a whole group of kids there, and we would get their autographs.
And they would give them too.
And they would give it. Some of them, what a big thing was, is also getting postcards, self-addressed postcards. Like 2 cents postcards, and you put your address on there, and you gave it to them. And they mailed it back to you. Now, sometimes you weren't sure whether that was the player's autograph or their secretary's autograph.
I only know I have autographs from people that actually did it while I was there, so I know it was them.
Oh no, I wasn't sure. Except, as I said, about 50 years later, I got the autograph of Don Newcomb at the LA Stadium, at Dodger Stadium, and I compared that to the one that I got back on the postcards, and they were the same. So I knew his was real.
Yeah, well, I remember when we used to go to the games. And we did the national anthem and whatever. I had the honor of sitting and talking to Don.
Yeah.
We just sat and chatted for a while, and I asked him questions about all the things, and he would tell me straight. Some things he told me in confidence. And I got to talk to Lasorda.
Oh, Tommy Bud.
And I got to the ins and outs of Dodger Stadium because we sang the national anthem there. So
right.
we stood out in the outfield. So we went there where the bullpens were.
Well, the woman who sang the national anthem actually yesterday, which was the third game, a singer named Shalea, which is managed by a friend of mine, Tony Shepard. Plus, she was on we interviewed her on a show with Horace Height. Very nice lady, very good singer.
Well, good. And the Dodgers looked like they were going down for the 3rd time. And Corey Bellinger.
Yeah, that was an exciting game.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, because everybody was leaving.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that I never understood. I know why they do it, but I never could understand why they would even go to the game. Every game that you go to at Dodger Stadium, no matter what the score is, especially a night game, probably about the 7th inning, people start going home.
Because
traffic. They want to beat the traffic.
It's the traffic. It's the parking lot, which is impossible to negotiate. It was always very difficult to get in and out. And unless you were fortunate enough, like usually when I went to games, I had parking. It's people who gave me the tickets. I have a friend who had the the tickets for the, where you get dinner and the whole thing, you know
Right.
what I mean? When you sit in that special area where you keep ordering food until you blow up, you know? I'll have 12 hot dogs, please. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, if you get those tickets again, either for the playoffs or the World Series, hopefully, let
I,
me know.
he doesn't, I haven't, he hasn't done it for a bunch of years.
Well, call them.
He retired from the firm he was with. It was his firm, but
Oh,
but that used to be one of the fun things. I used to go to the game. It was like went to a special parking lot. I knew where my car was, and that was. But then when I was a kid, we went by the BMT. We took it
BMT.
to Parkside Avenue. We got off and walked to Ebbets Field.
It's only about like a 3-block walk from the
We walked
subway
through
to
the
the.
park. We walked through Prospect Park, and if we had the Elsie bottle cap, it's Elsie
Yeah.
the cow from Borden's Milk. If you had that bottle cap and 25 cents, you got into the bleachers. Imagine a bottle cap and 25 cents, you got to see a professional baseball
Baseball
game.
game.
So whenever we had an opportunity, like when sometimes school was half a day, remember in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
they take the afternoon off for teachers
Yeah.
doing
Administrative day.
so, and they have a couple of those a year, and when they have those, we used to, a bunch of guys I remember 3 or 4 of us used to go to Ebbets Field, and sometimes, most of the time, the guy in the booth knew us and knew who we were and let us go on for free, let us go under the turnstile,
Yourself.
so that we would have an extra 20 cents or 10 cents actually to get a drink or a hot dog.
Imagine 10 cents to get a drink or hot dog.
Right. And so, the guy, on the way back, we didn't know, the people didn't know us,
Yeah.
when we got on. So you had to get on. You had to pay the fare. But going to from Brighton Beach, they let us go a lot of time.
Well, my goal at one time, I remember distinctly when I was like about 11, 12 years old. And I said, gee, when I get older, I want to sell. I want to get a job selling one of the concessions, selling food or soda or hot dogs. But but they moved before I got old enough.
That never occurred to me.
I thought, can you imagine getting paid to be at the stadium to watch every game?
Well, but you were working, and
That doesn't make a difference.
I don't. That's not something I thought. I mean, I never thought about it. I didn't think one way or the other.
Well, I know. Well, that's what that's what I thought about, and I remember it. And I remember how disappointed I was when they moved. I mean, that was one of the major.
I didn't think that far ahead at all in my life. I really didn't. I mean, it's not just that. It's anyway. Getting back to the game, it was pretty amazing, and I love to see a man who was batting 165 for the season come up twice so far in the playoff games, and do very important things. It's nice, and I always liked Bellinger.
Well, Bellinger was kept back. It's not that he's 160. That's not his normal batting average. He was injured this year.
That's true.
And that kept him down. And now all of a sudden he's hitting a stride. Hopefully.
Whatever it is, I mean, he is. How much more I mean, whatever is to come is to come. But so far, he's proven his,
But you should have seen when he hit that home run, you should have seen my wife jump up in the air and shout.
Oh, really?
I thought the LAPD was going to come because of spousal abuse. But she yelled and she shouted and
my wife was miserable last night because Boston lost.
Well, that makes me. Well, that's kind of difficult. I hate Boston. But I don't like the Astros.
Well, anyway.
But anyway, in fact, the whole series has been exciting. The St. Louis game, the St. Louis, when they had to do the wild card, that was like the last minute they won, the last inning. Same way with the Giants. Yep. And like normally during the average season, I don't watch baseball, and it's sort of boring. But with this, every game, every pitch counted.
Yes. He really did. And every mistake counted, you know.
Oh, that was horrible when Lux dropped that fly ball.
I know that's you don't see that much.
Now, well, you can't blame him because he's not a center fielder. He's an
Yeah,
infielder.
that's true.
They put him in for his
That
bat. But he you could see in his face, he was so down and so dejected that probably, I mean, when Bellinger hit the home run, he probably felt better than Bellinger. All of a sudden, it took him off the
right.
hook.
Yeah, he got him out, you know, and that's what it is. That's what playing ball is. You do something to screw up, and then somebody bails you out and makes it okay. You're thankful that some
Right.
of your team members. I mean, I've played softball for 45 years, more probably, but and you know that's the way it is.
Mm.
You know, sports is like that.
Yeah.
But I don't avidly watch sports anymore. I used to, but now.
Now, I watch sports. It's funny because I'm trying to, yeah, I'm an LA Dodger fan, but I think I'm more of a Los Angeles fan than a Dodger fan.
Well,
You know,
it's you know,
I don't have that loyalty to the Dodgers as I did to the Brooklyn Dodgers.
well, it was because it was different when it was so baseball was so different. It was approachable for a kid to go to a game without his parents by
Yeah.
walking around the street and collecting enough bottles that week, and an LC the cow uh, bottle cloak, you know, the bottle cap that you pull off that opens up and you pull it off. And you go in and you could do it. It was touchable. When you were on Ebbets Field, there were 28,000 people in it. It held 28,000 people. You could, even from the bleachers, you could see the players.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
actually,
there were times when my father had tickets, his boss had tickets, had season tickets, and every once in a while he would give it to a ticket to my father for my father and I to go to a night game, and you could see their faces. You knew who they were. I mean, close. You could be close to them. Now, 4 families can go to a game what it costs to park in Dodger Stadium.
it was it $25, $35 to park.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it goes up every year, and because what's his name, who sold the team, kept the parking.
Frank McCourt, was it?
Right, he kept the parking.
Right. That way, he makes more money from the parking than I think they make from the team.
I wouldn't doubt, because you know you just add it up, 50,000 people, 25 or 20,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
How much is 50,000 times 25?
Well, I don't think there's. Well, I don't know if there's 50,000 parking spots. Maybe because a lot of people park along the in the park outside.
All right, so
But it's full.
okay,
So let's say 40,000
okay,
at $25 each.
yeah,
That's a lot of money.
yes, it is. It
And
is. I mean, and it's 62 times a year, right? What is it? It's 162 games, so it's
162 games, so it's probably about 80.
62, whatever it is. It's in big numbers, you know, and it takes out of the way for a lot of people.
Well, right.
Oh, I don't know how many parking. Let's face it. I mean, we're going off here, but there's a lot of cars come with more than one person.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
I don't know how
expensive.
many cars they park, but whatever it is, the lot is usually full.
Yeah, it's expensive.
And it's and you know, and a $7, $8 for a drink.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But I mean, the problem with Dodger Stadium is I don't know how accessible it is by public transportation. I
yeah,
know, as I say, from Ebbets Field, we took a train, and it's different times because I must have been 10, 11, 12, and I used to go with a group of kids that were my age, and we went alone on a Saturday or Sunday
yeah,
afternoon,
sure.
and they were afternoon games.
I used to go as a kid when I was in the 5th grade. Okay, I
So,
was
so
in
you're
the
about
5th
11
grade.
years old.
Yeah, I used to go, a bunch of kids. And not only that, we used to go skating at Park Circle roller rink. You
Yeah.
know, we used to go places that an 11-year-old could never do today.
No, well, first of all, I know in Los Angeles, the transportation sucks. So you're really not going by bus or by train. It's getting a
Well,
little better.
it's doable. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's just not done because they don't put 11-year-olds on trains by themselves anymore. You know, we used to go to movies. I used to go to the kiddie show at the Tuxedo Theater on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
And I used to walk there, and I used to go by myself or with a couple of friends, and it was the whole day. It was the kiddie show, and then the regular features would be played in the afternoon.
But
And
they always,
some,
they always
sometimes-
play double features.
right, they were double features. So you would go there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and you'd come out. It was dark, you know, in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, and we would go, and they had yo-yo contests. They had all kinds of things. I mean,
The Dunkin' Yo-Yo.
yeah, Dunkin' Yo-Yo and Cheerio. Yes.
And they used to have a pro. We called them pros. We used to have the guys that used to work for Dunkin' that would come to the individual candy stores or toy stores and do demonstrations.
Yeah,
Remember
sure.
those days?
Sure. And on TV, they would do it too.
Yeah, I remember Walk the Dog, Baby in a Cradle,
Around the world.
Rock the Baby Around the World.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And we used to go there and see that, and then see cartoons, and then see the Three Stooges, and then see, you know, all of the things that were happening. And then they would have one that was a race, and a different car or a different person would win it with every different showing. It was on film.
No,
But it was made
that I don't remember.
to come out. Different people won. So, and you would get a ticket, and if your ticket had that number on it, you would win I think a candy bar or something.
Right, that I don't remember. But getting back to baseball, which again, when I got to LA, I always didn't believe that the people left at the end of the seventh inning. I remember one time I went to this night game. I forget what year it was. It was the Dodgers versus the Montreal Expos. And this pitcher, Dennis Martinez, was pitching for the Expos, right? Seventh inning, people start leaving. It was an evening game. But the only problem was, and it wasn't a problem, Dennis Martinez was pitching a perfect game.
Wow.
It was a perfect game, and people started leaving. And I'm looking around and made that impression. I couldn't see people leaving.
I went to the World Series when they had it with Oakland, Dodgers against Oakland.
Yeah.
The Kirk Gibson home run, right?
Wow.
And I was sitting there. I went with my friend Tony Masucci, who was vice president at NBC, at NBC, and he, excuse me, so we got these great seats, right? So we're sitting in these great seats, and the Dodgers are behind, and people are leaving. And Tony and I looked at each other, and I said to him, I don't know. I have a feeling. I think we should stay. You know, I think we should stay. I just had a feeling. And then, we stayed, and the Dodgers came up, and all this stuff happened. And Kirk Gibson comes limping up to the plate. He looked like he needed to be carried. And boom, and the Dodgers eventually won the World Series.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest moments in Dodger history,
yes.
Baseball history, Yes. I mean, with Vin Scully.
That's right. And yes, well, and so I don't know why people leave, but I know why, but it's
beat the traffic.
Yeah. And get out. I mean, it sometimes took a half hour, 45 minutes to get out of the park.
Yeah, well, my joke is I've been living here for about 45 years, 43 years. And my brother always asked me, how many miles from point A to point B? And I says, in Los Angeles, us Angelinos don't talk miles, we talk about time.
Right.
Miles are irrelevant because it could take, on the freeway, if you're stuck in traffic, 1 mile can take a half hour, or it could take 2 minutes. But I remember he always asked me, I lived in Hollywood Hills, and he asked me, how long was it from Hollywood Hills to wherever? Everything was like about 20 minutes,
Right,
20, half hour if we got stuck.
right,
Now the difference is it takes me 20 minutes to make a left turn out of my driveway.
right. I know, you know, if you think ahead, you got to say at some point this is all not going to work. See, nobody, when the world was going along as it was in the past, people didn't think that much because there wasn't much to think about, right? Now we have a world which is in a certain amount of trouble, and nobody is thinking ahead enough to cut it off. And nobody is acting like, or the people who should be acting like we're in trouble are denying it. It's frightening. They don't believe what's coming. And if you don't have an idea what's coming, and there's evidence to make you know that there are certain things that are occurring now that if they continue, they're going to be gigantically miserable. I mean, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be we're going to have water problems. We're going to have food problems. We're going to have transportation problems. I mean, I don't know why the wealthy have to get so wealthy. What are they, when there's no people, when there's no regular people around, what's the point? Who are they going to sell their stuff to? You know, I mean, I don't know how people are doing what they're doing. I don't know people are living below minimum wage. I don't know how that's done. I mean, we've never confronted that, and that's real. So
Well, the problem is that the government is run by politicians.
no, the problem is that there's a section of the government that is run by miserable, low-life assholes,
Right.
who have no desire. How do you say it's okay to have a guy like Steve Bannon, who was a criminal, pardoned by a criminal president, and now he doesn't want to obey the law by the Congress of the United States of America? Okay, how do you the man should be in jail. They should have grabbed him and caught and put him in jail. And when you're ready to talk, you can come out. Otherwise, you'll stay there until you rot.
Phil, AKA democracy. I'm not sure whether they say it's a grand experiment. I don't know if it's working.
That's irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant. That's what's happening. That's why why these people are elected.
No, but the thing is, it depended on the democracy, our democracy. The laws are all written down, but it depends on the courageous and kind people to run it. It's that simple. Everything that happened in this last run, okay, the last 5 years, it was because there are miserable a-holes running it who don't care about their oath to the Constitution, who don't care about the Constitution. These guys, this governor of Texas, is everything he has in that law is against the Constitution.
Well,
and so it's not the country that's a problem. It's a lot of the people in it who are morons.
No. Yeah, the question is, how did they get elected? But that's another topic. I want to go back to they
get elected because you know why? They get elected because they take ads out that are lies that people believe are the truth, instead of what used to be, where the guy stood up or the woman stood up and told the people what they were going to do and why they were going to do it. And this is why you should vote for me. And
but that's something. Getting back to baseball, one of the reasons, you're talking about people that have a lot of money, and again, these guys deserve it. But when a baseball player is making $25-30 million, well,
not all of them.
No, but some of the ones, I mean, the underpaid ones are getting, $2-3 million contracts.
Yes.
And again, I hate to say it because I hate to say it seem old, but in my days, if a guy hit 250, he wasn't playing Major League Baseball. Now a 250 hitter is making $5-6 million a year.
Yeah, there's no civility. There's no civility in government. The Republicans refuse to be civil. Don't they know that their own bridges in their own states are coming apart? I mean, Mitch McConnell knows that that bridge between Kentucky and the other state is falling apart. And if it goes, people are not going to be able to get to Kentucky to work. You need to fix the things that need to be fixed. And if you don't, it's moronic. How do you not fix the infrastructure of a country? How do you not make the laws reasonable so that people can vote? How do you do that? The vote is the thing that makes this country what it is. Without the vote, it's nothing.
Yeah, but
and anybody who doesn't realize that doesn't have a brain in their head. There's no justification for that law in Texas or for the lie that says that Biden didn't win the election. There's no justification for that. It's lies. It's just like Hitler said, it's the Jews' fault. It's just like Torquemada said, it's the Jews' fault. It's just like the Babylonian king said, it's the Jews' fault. It's everybody's fault, and we're innocent. And these people, it's insanity. These people are insane. The Republicans, except for Cheney and the other Republican guy, Kingbridge, whatever.
I don't know
what's going on.
I don't know why Mitt Romney.
They're like Nazis and running with the leader, Hitler. That's what you got. And Donald Trump would have no problem killing. Well, he killed, as far as I'm concerned, he already killed 600,000 people by his inaction in the virus. I don't care what anybody said. He's a murderer. He killed 600,000 people. Almost 700,000 people are dead. The first 100,000 people would have died probably because they didn't know what they were doing in the beginning.
Yeah.
But pretty quick he knew what this virus was.
But Phil, we're getting off the topic, which was our main thing. We could talk about that at another show.
Everything is related, because the power of this country lie in people like the people who own the Dodgers, okay, who are willing, or McCourt, who was willing to charge people $25, $30 to park a car for a Dodger game.
Who owns the Dodgers?
$7 for a drink.
Who owns the Dodgers now?
Who cares? It's slavery, no matter how you put it. My strong feeling is that the red states have the blue states enslaved politically.
Yeah, but getting back to baseball,
and that's because of the power of the money, of the oil money and the drug company money and that's why we're in this. And it doesn't matter how much money Democrats send to Democrats, because if they can't vote, if they're prevented from voting, then they can't win elections.
Yeah, but Phil, getting back to the cost of going to a baseball game and parking, but that's your option. Your option is to go there or not to go there. That's not your right to go to a ball game. That's not part of your constitutional right. If you think it's too expensive, don't go. You can listen to it, watch it on television.
You're so wrong.
And most of the games.
That point is so off the mark, it's frightening.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's a ridiculous number. It's a ridiculous price to charge for parking. This parking is ridiculous in this whole state.
Right.
So you're saying if you can't afford it, don't go, right?
Right. Well, I'm talking about baseball.
And you're okay with that.
I'm talking about.
Not. I think everybody should have a right to it. They have a team that has the name of our city on it. The LA Dodgers. I'm an LA person. I should have a right to go to a game and see it without breaking my bank. That's all. I'm sorry. Because I'm left. I'm very left. I believe that nobody should be allowed to be sick.
Well, the question, do you think that the baseball players should be paid that amount of money? Like you have for the long-term contracts? I mean, one of the reasons that the baseball.
Do you think the price of gasoline is fair?
No, but we're not talking about gasoline.
We are, because it's all the same thing.
Should Clayton,
so don't drive.
Don't
drive.
But that's necessity. We're not talking about,
So in
we're
other
not
words,
talking about
going to-
healthcare.
all
We're
right,
not
so wait a
talking.
minute. So you're saying to me that going somewhere to enjoy yourself with a whole bunch of other people is not a necessity.
Right.
Well, that's
There,
bullshit.
there are other things to do.
That's part of being human.
No,
Being
no, there are
human,
other,
you need to have that.
there are other things to do. But basketball has always been a high price to go to a basketball game.
I don't go see basketball.
Why not?
I disagree with you. I think that the power in this country has been running it for the last 150 years since oil started. Okay, and in the pressure and everything that's happening in the government is happening because they're making it happen, because they're lobbying and they're forcing. We should have been not here. How's this? We should have been finished with gasoline 20 years ago, even longer.
Yeah.
And that is my health. That is my family's safety in the future. That's the planet.
Right.
How many people died from cancer because they weren't told that cigarettes were important? You shouldn't smoke, but nobody said, hey, that shit's going to kill you. Nobody said that until way later.
Right, but do you think that they, going back into your field, that a rock concert you should be paying $250 a ticket to see a rock performer, or a concert at Staples?
Yes, I think it's ridiculous.
Can normal people afford it?
Yeah, okay. So there are people who can afford it. So let me screw everybody else.
No.
There are people that can't afford to live in a house. There are people that can't afford to buy food. There are people that can't afford to buy drugs.
I totally agree with you.
Alive.
The necessities.
No, I'm sorry.
The necessity.
That's a very right-wing point of view.
No, the necessities.
Don't do it if you can't afford it.
No, the necessities of life have to be controlled. The gasoline prices have to be controlled. Healthcare has to be controlled. There has to be a limit on it. I agree with you.
None of it is.
Yeah.
And the necessities of life are more than just breathing and crapping and peeing and throwing up.
But when I go to buy a suit and it's $1,500.
The price of a movie. The price of a movie is absurd.
Right. And why
and
is it?
Yet they argue about paying the people who make them enough money so that they don't have to work overnight.
Right.
You know, sorry. There is a mindset in this country by the powerful that still treats us as slaves.
No. There's certain things in life which are called necessities that has to be controlled. There are other things in life called luxuries. The luxuries is if you could afford it. As far as people.
No, you see there, but there you go. You're throwing definitions of words against something. Every human being should be able to enjoy as well as live. No, you want everybody just to work like dogs? That's called slavery.
No. They're getting paid. They're not getting paid enough.
This country is on the wrong path, and it can't survive this way.
Well, I agree with you. What we're doing now, the government itself, right now,
no, it's not the government. It's the Republicans in the government.
Well, I hate to say it. When the government was controlled by the Democrats, it was the same damn things. They didn't change the laws.
The filibuster prevents that.
No, I said when it was. There was a time that the Republicans were out.
And that's when the country prospered the most it ever did. After World War II.
The poor remain poor and the rich remain rich. Anyway, Phil.
No, that's not true.
Our time is up. If we can.
There was a middle class which had both. They had the home, they had the car, they were able to go on a vacation. The kids went to a good school, and they weren't rich. They were ordinary middle class people. Once you stop everybody from doing everything because it's too expensive, then eventually nobody will be able to do anything.
Well, we're talking about a good school. It was public schools that they went to. In fact, but the last thing I want to talk about.
But they put money into them to make them good.
Right. Well, the last thing I want to mention, because our time is up, is we lost Powell.
Yes.
Colin Powell is, and he came up, a Jamaican immigrant, lived in I think the South Bronx, and I'm proud of him. He went to the same school I did, City College Uptown, and because it was tuition free at those days. And education is important.
See, you don't have that now.
Anyway, Phil, we'll
See?
continue, yeah, we'll continue our discussion next
Yes,
Wednesday.
it's always a pleasure.
And as I say,
Hats off to all of you. Go Dodger Blue.
go Dodger Blue.
Yay.
See you next week. Hopefully when we'll be in the World Series. Bye.